Amazing revelation, fired mom brings son to work, surprising new boss exposes his own childhood. Emily's heart raced as she stepped into the vibrant art studio, the scent of paint mingling with the anxiety swirling in her stomach. She clutched Jake's hand, feeling the familiar pang of doubt. Maybe this was a mistake, she whispered to herself. Last week, she had been let go from her corporate job, her attempts at climbing the ladder drowned by the weight of single motherhood. Now, here she was, taking her introverted son to a place that felt as foreign as the dream she once had of a stable life. She kept telling herself that she had to make this work. As they entered, Jake instinctively wandered off, his wide eyes soaking in the colors splashed across the canvases. Emily's gaze shifted to the reception desk, a meager island in a sea of artistic ambition. Her stomach fluttered as the new owner, Alex, approached. A smile flickered across his face, but something about his expression struck her as strangely sincere and haunted at once, a reflection of the challenges they both faced. "Welcome. I'm Alex," he said, warmth in his tone that cut through Emily's unease. She felt a flicker of hope, yet a tight knot twisted in her gut. What if she failed again? What if he found out about her past? Just then, Jake broke through her thoughts, hesitantly engaging Alex in conversation about a colossal painting of a sunlit meadow. Emily felt pride and panic collide in her chest. Could he have a future here, in a place filled with dreams, far from the crushing weight of bills and uncertainty? "Your son has a keen eye," Alex remarked, directing his attention entirely toward Jake. In that moment, Emily realized this could be an opportunity, a chance not just for her son but for herself. Yet, just as adrenaline surged, the fear of judgment loomed. Would Alex see her as another struggling single mom, a liability? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Emily fought to rein in her racing thoughts, but tension crackled in the air. She sensed a storm brewing. The previous owner had left behind whispers that echoed in her mind. The rumors danced between insecurity and truth, taunting her with fears of inadequacy. What if her old colleague, who had once been a friend, was spinning tales that would unravel anything she built here? Caught between her determination to defend her position and the developing bond between Jake and Alex, she could feel her insides twist painfully. An internal struggle roared like a tempest inside her. Confront the injustice or support Jake's artistic blossoming? Hope hovered before her, but so did the specter of betrayal. Just when she thought she had a grip, a sudden revelation struck. Alex's life story and hers felt eerily intertwined. They shared scars of poverty, bullying, and dreams cast aside. But what if their pasts twisted into more than mere coincidence? The thought left her breathless, the stakes rising as she realized this connection could hold more weight than she could bear. As she stood torn between loyalty and the urge for justice, her phone buzzed in her pocket. The message flickered ominously on the screen, a potential harbinger that could change everything she thought she knew. Could it shatter not just her world, but also the fragile bond forming between Jake and Alex? Her heart raced with a mixture of dread and anticipation. Would she be able to navigate the dangerous waters ahead? The message on Emily's phone burned like a brand against her skin. She hesitated, fingers hovering over the screen. It could be her old job reaching out, maybe even an offer, or a confirmation that her fears were coming to life. Jake's excited voice broke through her concentration, as he eagerly asked Alex about the materials used for the giant mural on the wall. Excitement bubbled in her son, entirely unaware of the tension gripping his mother. Emily turned her attention back to them. Alex's eyes lit up with the same passion she felt but feared to express. The energy in the art studio buzzed with possibilities, yet she felt the edges of her reality closing in around her. "It's just a message," she whispered to herself, as if to suck the anxiety from the air. She breathed in slowly, grounding herself. Whatever it is, I can handle it. But could she? Emily. Alex's voice drew her attention. There was concern in his eyes now, an unwavering focus, as if he could see the battle raging inside her. Are you okay? You look a little pale. A tight smile curled her lips. It's just a lot to take in, you know. Finding a new direction. The words tasted bitter, revealing more vulnerability than she intended. I get that, Alex said, a knowing look flashing briefly in his eyes. I've had to pivot myself lately. It's not easy. Harsh reality began to set in as she stood there, vulnerable yet human. Perhaps Alex's struggles could become a bridge rather than a barrier. She let his words settle in, realizing the parallels they shared. Jake rushed over, his little hands covered in a broad spectrum of paint, wearing a wide grin that cut through the dense anxiety. Mom, look! I made a sky! He exclaimed, proudly displaying a small canvas he'd found on the floor. A child's representation of the world filled with pinks and blues swirled together, a chaotic beauty captured only in the mind of a young artist. As Emily examined the painting, the anxiety knotted in her chest unraveled just a bit. This is amazing, Jake. You really captured the colors, she said, allowing the warmth of pride to seep through her cracks of uncertainty. Watching Jake blossom in this new environment ignited something inside her, a spark of hope, a glint of possibility. It was her turn to embrace a new vision, just as he had. The fact that your son can create something so beautiful at such a young age gives me hope for this place, Alex murmured, leaning closer, barely letting the words come out. I could use someone with your passion and instinct for detail. Would you consider helping with some of the upcoming workshops? The offer hung in the air, heavy and daunting. Emily felt the weight of decision pressing against her. Should she dive into the unknown, committing herself despite her fears? The nagging memories of her past failures fought to push their way into her mind. But this wasn't about her fears, it was about Jake, about taking a stand for both of them. She squared her shoulders, heart pounding as adrenaline coursed through her veins. Yes, I would love to help, she finally replied, each word slicing through the doubt that threatened to consume her. Great! Alex beamed. You won't regret it. Together, we can build something special. As the conversation moved forward into excitement and plans for the future, Emily felt a new determination surging through her, tethered not only to her ambition but also to her role as a mother. She would rise, not just for herself, but for Jake's dreams that now danced alongside hers. But then her phone buzzed again, shattering the moment of triumph. There was no escape from the looming threat of her past. When she glanced down, her breath hitched. This time, the message was from someone else entirely, someone she had tried to leave behind. What did they want? With unresolved tension crackling in the air, Emily feared the decision she had just made might not be the turning point she hoped for. Would this new opportunity become a lifeline or a trap? Emily's mind raced as she stared at the message glowing on her phone screen. The name at the top sent a shiver down her spine, a name she thought she'd never have to confront again. The years of trying to move forward, to bury the past deep beneath layers of hope and hard work, threatened to resurface like an unwelcome specter. Mom. Jake tugged at her sleeve, his innocent eyes filled with concern. Are you okay? She forced a smile, aware it faltered under scrutiny. Yeah, bud, just thinking. About the mural. It's gonna be awesome, he exclaimed, his enthusiasm a stark contrast to the turmoil brewing inside her. Emily took a deep breath, redirecting her focus to the blossoming artist before her. It really will be. Let's make sure we get some bright colors in there. She began revising the workshop plans in her mind, using Jake's energy as a shield against the anxiety creeping in. With her heart still racing, she noticed Alex's gaze flickering from her to the phone. Understanding lurked behind his expression. Are you sure you want to take this on? He asked softly. It's a lot, especially if something's weighing on you. The warmth and support in Alex's tone prickled at her emotional defenses. His concern felt genuine, different from the judgments she had faced in her past. Maybe she didn't have to face this alone, for once. "Yeah, I think I do," Emily replied, her voice steadier than she felt. "It's time to invest in something real, something for Jake and for me." As they discussed the upcoming workshops, she felt the flicker of excitement return, however tenuously. The complexity of emotions swirling in her heart made her want to laugh and cry at once. She was scared but also burgeoning with curiosity about what this role could mean for her growth. The message lingered in the back of her mind, a dark reminder of her previous failures. But she pushed at it, knowing she wouldn't allow one person's lingering shadow to steal her future. "Emily, what do you say to teaching a session on mixing colors?" Alex suggested. "There's a talent there that I think people would love learning about." The suggestion lit a spark in her, igniting buried ambition as she replayed memories of mixing paints in her small apartment long ago. Confidence surged. This was her moment to unearth forgotten abilities. "I'd love to," she replied, the excitement echoing in her own voice. Before she could dwell too much on the past or the message still waiting to be read, Alex's phone buzzed, distracting them from the fraught silence. He glanced at the screen, his expression shifting as he tucked the device away. "Looks like we'll have a few more volunteers coming in to help with preparations," he said, the happiness in his tone palpable. "Sounds great. The more, the merrier, right?" she chirped, trying to redirect the residual tension that could unspool her. As they dove into planning the logistics for the workshop, the bright space started to feel like a haven, a possible sanctuary from the ghosts of her past. Yet, each purposeful gesture was underscored by the knowledge that she needed to confront the incoming message. With a sense of resolution building inside her, Emily resolved to approach the message once the conversation died down. She would not be defined by someone else's narrative anymore. "Hey," Jake piped up as they transitioned into color schemes, "can I work alongside you and Alex when the workshops start?" Emily's heart swelled. "Of course. We're going to make it a team effort." Just as Alex was about to agree, Emily's phone buzzed again, a reminder that unresolved issues would not dissolve without action. The notifications tugged at her, and with her heart pounding, she realized the decision she had made to leap into this opportunity was only the beginning. The real challenge lay ahead, navigating her new role while preparing herself to confront what waited in that message. Could she step past her past, or would it drag her back into its depths? With that question looming over her, Emily felt the weight of both hope and apprehension. Anxiously ready to face what came next. Emily perched on the edge of her chair, Jake's laughter spilling around her as he and Alex animatedly collaborated on ideas for the mural. Despite her attempt to drown out the impending confrontation from the text, her thoughts swirled restlessly. The workshop felt like a beacon of hope, but the specter of the past loomed larger with every bright color they discussed. "Mom." Jake's voice cut through her reverie. "What do you think about butterflies?" He looked up with stars in his eyes, oblivious to the storm inside her. "Beautiful, of course. They symbolize transformation, don't they?" she replied, forcing her enthusiasm, her voice a brittle mask stretched over anxiety. The more time passed without addressing the text, the more it dragged at her, as if anchoring her to a version of herself she was striving to leave behind. The hesitation gnawed at her resolve. She excused herself to grab coffee, hoping the brief respite would offer clarity. The aroma filled her senses as she stood near the coffee station, ingredients for a perfect brew but no remedy for her tumultuous thoughts. In that moment, Emily wished to be able to craft an artist's palette that could mix pure determination with vibrant confidence. But the colors felt muted right now, her emotional spectrum smeared by uncertainty. "Hey!" She turned, startled by Alex's voice, as he approached, his own coffee cup steaming in hand. "Penny for your thoughts. You've gone quiet all of a sudden." His genuine concern tugged at her. "Just, wondering how I got here," she confessed, an involuntary tremor in her voice. "I always wanted to be an artist, but this, this feels so much larger. Growth happens outside of comfort zones, he encouraged softly. If you're feeling burdened, talk to me. We can navigate it together. Emily nodded slowly, though dread began to curl in her stomach. Could she risk revealing her past? Fear had led her this far before, but nurturing new partnerships demanded bravery she was unsure she possessed. Jake hurried back into the room, excitement bubbling as he brandished a handful of sketches, bright designs of colorful creatures spilling onto the paper. Emily's heart warmed at his innocent creativity, a soothing balm on the anxiety gnashing within her. Look! He beamed. What if we had tons of butterflies, and they all led to a big sun? His vision was pure and untainted, a vivid contrast to her storm of emotions. That would be amazing, sweetheart. Emily exclaimed, the thrill of their shared dream igniting a flicker of confidence. But as Jake eagerly presented more ideas, Emily's earlier resolve faded like the morning mist. No amount of artistic inspiration could shake the apprehension of her past creeping into her present. She glanced at her phone, still unread. What if facing it only led to more heartache? An involuntary shiver coursed through her at the thought. Alex observed her, eyes searching. You still have that message hanging over you, don't you? Resilience surged. Yes. And I can't keep ignoring it. What if we tackled it together? He suggested, his voice unfurling warmth like a spring breeze. Emily hesitated, the words caught in her throat. But then, as the afternoon light warmed the room, illuminating their vibrant sketches, she realized the truth, she had allies now. Not just in the art they created, but in the emotional strength they could build together. I will. The declaration emerged, unsteadily but unyielding. That's the spirit. Alex beamed, renewing Emily's hope. As they returned to planning, she caught Jake's eyes, beaming with pride, and felt another layer of determination solidify within her. Engaging the past had its risks, yet it was equally true that pushing through fear could unlock doors she'd long withheld. Just as the conversation turned to logistics, Emily's phone buzzed once more, a new message illuminating the screen like an ominous lighthouse. The familiar name flashed, instigating a dark tickle of anxiety at the base of her spine. Her heart raced, and with Alex and Jake beside her, Emily felt the weight of that decision throb at the forefront of her mind. She wanted to experience the fullness of this new chapter, but the tension of the old one awaited reckoning. Emily. Alex's curious tone snapped her back. Everything okay? Just. I need to respond to something, she said, forcing clarity as she raised her phone, bracing herself for what lay ahead. What would she confront in answering that message? Could navigating these emotional landscapes fortify her enough to confront the truth? With her heart hammering, Emily leaned into her courage as she prepared to discover where this journey might take her next. Would she finally free herself from the weight of her past, or would it ensnare her once more? Those questions overshadowed her mind, and with a deep breath, she pressed open the app to face the truth waiting within. The screen lit up with the message, words blurring together as Emily's heart pounded in her chest. She tried to steady her breath, reminding herself of all the vibrant colors she had just discussed with Jake and Alex. Yet the shadows of fear clung tightly, whispering all the reasons she should simply walk away. With trembling fingers, she opened the message. As the words unfurled, a mixture of dread and determination surged. It was from Jamie, the last person she wanted to hear from, but also the one who held the key to her past. The content was simple: we need to talk. The implication sent waves of discomfort crashing over her, but the same resolve that had inspired her to take on this mural project hardened her inner voice. No more hiding. Emily. Alex's probing voice broke her concentration like glass shattering. He glanced over with concern, pulling her away from the digital haze. Right, she murmured, striving to mask the tension that knotted her stomach. It's just. I think I need to answer this, but. You can do it. Remember, you're not alone. And talking it through might be what you need to make sense of it. Alex's words wrapped around her like a protective barrier. A nod and a deep breath coalesced into a strangely empowering realization. There was a place in her life now where she didn't have to face her demons alone. "I'll confront it," she said, her voice firmer than the quaking in her heart might suggest. The truth swelled inside her, as violent and beautiful as the colors on Jake's sketches. As she typed her response one word at a time, carefully choosing each, she felt the magnitude of her decision. She wasn't merely responding to Jamie, she was claiming her narrative. "Whenever and wherever works for you, I'm ready to discuss." She hit send and watched the dots appear, indicating a reply in progress. The moment seemed to last forever, her mind visualizing her commitment to no longer let the past dictate her future. "Who is it?" Jake's innocent curiosity broke her concentration. "Just someone from work," she deflected, not wanting to worry him about the complexities that had shaped the darker chapters of her life. He held tightly to optimism, and for his sake, maintaining the light-hearted atmosphere felt paramount. The seconds stretched painfully until her phone chimed again. A time and place flashed across the screen, and she recognized the cafe just down the street, a familiar beacon of normality, a sanctuary mingled with nostalgia. Yet now, it seemed like a gathering place for a storm. "What's next?" Alex asked, his gaze shifting from her phone back to her eyes, reading the current of her thoughts. "I meet Jamie tomorrow." The admission felt heavy and lighting all at once. Some part of her was terrified to step into that awkward encounter, but another part thrummed with resolve, as if battle drums were pounding in her head. The confrontation was necessary. "Are you ready? Do I have a choice?" She replied, half joking, yet the weight was present. "As ready as you'll ever be, then." His smile was encouraging, a blend of camaraderie with the undercurrent of challenge that sparked something in her. With every tick of the clock, her confidence metamorphosed from apprehension to anticipation. This was about more than just facing Jamie, it was about rehearsing her new role in life. The mural had become a canvas for change, not just for her art, but for herself, each brushstroke emblematic of her evolving identity. Later that evening, as she prepared for bed, Emily caught a glimpse of the melancholy her reflection betrayed. Yet behind that softness was a flickering light of resilience. The night was thick with anticipation, yet Emily let sleep wash over her, confident that confronting the truth at dawn would crack open yet another layer of her blooming self. Morning light spilled through the window, illuminating sketches filled with colors that mirrored her evolving spirit. Would the confrontation be a step toward liberation or another grim reminder of her battles? With the day ahead looming, Emily could finally feel the true weight of her awakening. As she stood, readying herself for what lay ahead, she understood, some truths demand confrontation, and only through that confrontation can true transformation occur. What awaited her beyond that cafe door? With uncertainty and determination intertwining, she moved forward, her heart pulsating with the thrill of the unknown. The cafe's door chimed softly as Emily entered, the warm aroma of freshly brewed coffee enveloping her like a comforting embrace. A brief moment of solace settled her stomach, but the reality of her appointment began to seep back in. Spotting Jamie seated at a small table in the corner, Emily's heart raced again. This was a confrontation she'd put off for too long. She approached, each step feeling heavier than the last, her breaths becoming more calculated. Jamie looked up, an unreadable expression flickering across his face. If tragedy had drawn the two of them together before, now it felt like the weight of years lay between them. A hesitant smile pulled at the corners of his lips, but it brought her no comfort. "Hey," he greeted softly, gesturing to the seat opposite him. "Hi, Jamie." She sat, feigning calm. The space between them pulsed with tension, a silent challenge that demanded action. As cups of steaming coffee arrived, the initial pleasantries felt almost absurd. Emily realized they were merely masking the undercurrents of unresolved feelings and questions. With each sip, she braced herself, determined to address the elephant in the room. "I got your message," she initiated, her voice steady but wary. That call to arms she had felt the night before manifested in her words, this was her moment, the beginning of a conversation she'd long avoided. Jamie didn't respond right away. Instead, his gaze dropped to his mug, a sign that he was working through whatever reflection troubled him. When he finally lifted his eyes, Emily sought the truth lurking behind them. "I think we need to talk about what happened," he said, a hint of regret threading through his tone. Emily nodded. She could feel the past crowding around them, a cacophony of insidious memories that had shackled her for years. Words hung poised on the tip of her tongue, but now they felt different. Perhaps the act of presenting herself here, showing up when it would have been so easy to run, was already rewriting the narrative. "Why now?" she pressed. "Why didn't we do this before?" The question hung heavily in the air like dark rain clouds threatening to burst. Jamie shifted uncomfortably, and for the first time, she saw an unguarded flush creep across his cheeks. "I honestly didn't know how to face you," he admitted, vulnerable and raw. Emily's pulse quickened. She had always been the one hiding. This was new territory for her. "You hurt me, Jamie," she stated plainly, a mirror to the pain she had bottled up for so long. "I never found closure. I felt abandoned." The weight of her words landed squarely between them, but rather than recoil, Jamie leaned closer. "I thought if I kept my distance, it would be easier for both of us," he said, his voice quaking slightly. "But I see now how wrong I was." As their conversation unfolded, a profound shift began to occur in her mind. Emily discovered an unexpected wellspring of strength as she articulated her experiences. Each word reflected a piece of her reclaiming the narrative that had spiraled out of control all those years ago. Yet, with each admission, she also sensed that Jamie was confronting his own demons, a parallel journey toward healing. This newfound realization sparked a cascade of emotions within her. She had never fully understood how her silence had tethered her to the past, and on this day, with Jamie, she was finally breaking those chains. The conversation flowed into tributaries of their shared history, moments that once rippled with anguish now finding their complexity through raw honesty. By confronting each other, they were tearing down the shadows that obscured their brighter memories. As they spoke, time lost meaning. Emily felt a flush of empowerment rising like the morning sun through the cafe window. For the first time, she saw Jamie not merely as a relic of her past but as someone capable of change just like herself. Yet as their discussion began to wrap up, Emily felt a nagging uncertainty take root. Was he genuinely transformed, or was this merely another fleeting moment of clarity? A lingering shadow looped over the openness they had just forged. "I want to be better," Jamie said, his voice earnest but uncertain. "I hope we could find a way to move forward, maybe as friends." As she considered his words, a profound decision loomed. Could she truly embrace this renewed relationship without falling back into old patterns? The question developed thickness in her throat, the choice felt daunting yet invigorating. With a fire ignited in her spirit, she recognized the beauty of beginning again, and she was not afraid anymore. Just as she opened her mouth to respond, her phone buzzed, interrupting the pivotal moment. The message screen lit up with an unexpected business opportunity, one that could redefine her artistic career altogether. Emily's heart raced not with dread but exhilaration. The world was vast with possibilities, and she was on the cusp of something new. Would she extend this second chance to Jamie, while simultaneously stepping boldly into her professional growth? As she glanced at the opportunity, she could feel the push and pull of her new reality. Decisions lay before her like vibrant colors on a new canvas, waiting for her to paint her future. The path toward reconciliation and self-discovery beckoned, but would she have the courage to embrace both? With uncertainty bubbling up within her, she knew one thing: her next step would be pivotal in forging her new reality. The moment passed like a breath caught in her throat. Emily glanced at her phone again, the notification glaring like a lighthouse amid a storm. She felt the tug of ambition at her core, a crescendo of possibilities clamoring for her attention just as she hovered on the precipice of a decision regarding Jamie. The coffee around them grew cold, an unwelcome reminder that time was slipping away. "Emily." Jamie's voice sliced through her reverie, a blend of concern and curiosity lingering in the air. Are you all right? Her heart surged with a cacophony of doubt and excitement. I've just received an unexpected business opportunity, she replied, attempting to mask the tremor in her voice. It's something I've been waiting for, the kind of chance I thought I might never get. Emily had always placed her aspirations in the shadows, convincing herself they were unattainable. But now, they flashed brightly before her like neon signs. Jamie's expression shifted, a mix of admiration and uncertainty. That's amazing. What is it? She hesitated, the words wrapping around her tongue like vines, seeking liberation. It's a chance to showcase my artwork at a gallery downtown, she finally admitted, a rush of pride igniting her spirit. I could be the featured artist for this upcoming exhibit. Wow, Jamie said, his eyes widening. That is incredible. You've worked hard for that. You deserve it. The affirmation grounded Emily, yet one question loomed larger than all others. But what does it mean for everything else? What does it mean for us? Her gaze anchored on him, pleading for clarity. Would this opportunity distance her from the very person who had borne witness to her struggle? The tables turned, and for the first time that morning, Jamie looked unsettled. It changes everything, doesn't it? He murmured, his thoughts swirling like leaves caught in a whirlwind. Your success, you moving forward. I can't expect you to. His words trailed off, leaving a stark silence. Emily felt the reality of their diverging paths loom large, like an unbridgeable chasm. She had spent years defining herself in the shadows of others, but she had a chance to live differently now. The notion of building a life centered on her passions excited her, yet the fear of losing what they were both beginning to rebuild pricked at her heart. You can be part of it, she said, her voice resolute, but the echo of doubt lingered. If we make things right, we can grow alongside each other. I need to embrace my future, but I won't abandon you. Can we collaborate on our reconciliation in tandem with my professional growth? As the weight of those words hung between them, Emily could see the conflict flickering in Jamie's eyes. His desire to change, to not be the anchor that dragged her down, warred with the hope of getting back what they had lost. I would need to prove that I'd be worth your trust, he finally replied, his tone low yet determined. I have to show you that I can be a better person in your life, not just someone coming back to fill a void. Those words ignited a fierce motivation within her. If they could navigate this uncharted territory together, it might lead to a deeper connection than she'd ever imagined. But it was also clear that Jamie's journey to self-improvement would require more than promises, it would demand ongoing accountability. This realization magnified the intensity within her. Then, let us commit to being honest with ourselves and each other through this. I want to grow in my career and with you, but we have to want it out loud. The determination in Emily's voice echoed off the cafe walls, bouncing back with newfound clarity. She felt lighter, unveiling parts of herself she had hidden in darkness. Yet even as they spoke about growth and potential, faint apprehension colored her thoughts. Could she really trust this reconciliation? Or would the ghosts of the past rise to haunt her again? Strength coursed through her, yet fear lingered like a shadow. With a final look exchanged between them, they recognized the gravity of their situation. A pivotal moment awaited as they stepped into their separate challenges, hers filled with creative revival and his cloaked in personal redemption. As Emily placed her phone away, she noticed a subtle shift stirring within her. The decision-making process to embrace her career potential while cautiously stepping forward with Jamie felt right yet heavy. She could see the tapestry of her life expanding beautifully, but she knew the strands of past hurt and emerging trust interwove intricately. Just as she thought she had a grip on her direction, her phone buzzed again, maybe another opportunity or an unforeseen complication. The potential dynamic of her career, both exhilarating and terrifying, was framed against the backdrop of Jamie's uncertain future. Her heart pounded once more as she stole a glance at Jamie, their shared understanding igniting a commitment to navigate this together. Could their paths really align in a healthier way? As she reached for her phone, a sense of urgency washed over her. The moment demanded action, and with it came the thrill and fear of what was to come. Would she be bold enough to seize the opportunity unfolding at her fingertips while simultaneously grappling with Jamie's emerging role in her life? The decisions loomed ahead, and Emily could feel the weight of change descending like a tide ready to pull her under. Emily inhaled deeply, her fingers hovering over the phone screen, the glowing notifications like fireflies in a darkening forest. The latest message revealed a crucial meeting at the gallery, potentially setting the stage for her dreams to unfurl. She expected butterflies, but instead, a knot of anxiety constricted around her stomach. "Are you going to check it?" Jamie's voice pulled her back from the brink. It was a genuine inquiry, yet she could detect the weight behind it, the tentative hope that her success would not overshadow their reconciliation. "Yeah, just hold on a second," she muttered, seeking a moment to gather her thoughts. It felt as if the walls of the cafe were closing in, each tick of the clock drumming loudly in her ear. With a swipe, she opened the message. It detailed the logistics of her exhibit, but more importantly, it outlined a looming deadline for submissions. An inexplicable urgency surged within her, forcing her to confront both her excitement and trepidation. "I'm going to have to spend a lot of time preparing," she confessed, her voice wavering slightly as she looked back at Jamie. "It's a high-stakes situation. If I don't stand out, I could miss this chance completely." Jamie nodded, though uncertainty flickered across his face. "And what about us?" Emily shifted uncomfortably in her seat. The question hung between them, a reminder that their paths were entwined yet fraught with the challenges of the past. Would they be able to navigate both their ambitions while still supporting one another? With newfound clarity, she broke the silence. "We have to make our successes integral to each other. I want to be there for you too. This isn't just about me." "I need that," she said, her sincerity cutting through the haze of doubt. There was a moment of hesitation before Jamie replied, "Then let us make it our goal. We can check in with each other. Share our progress. Celebrate small victories." Emily's heart lightened at the suggestion. This proactive attitude sparked something within her, the idea that their individual journeys could bolster each other's. It was a commitment to transparency, a promise that neither would be left behind. She grinned slightly, feeling a jolt of gratitude for Jamie's willingness to stand beside her as she confronted her professional aspirations. "Absolutely. I'll share every step of the way. In fact, I'd love your feedback. Your perspective matters a lot to me." A flicker of hope ignited in Jamie's eyes, the worry lines of his brow softening momentarily. They were both walking into untested waters, but for the first time, they'd agreed to take those steps together. As Emily pulled out her sketchbook, the pages blank and inviting, ideas began to flow in her mind. "What if I illustrate the themes of growth and restoration?" She pondered aloud, her thoughts spilling forth. "It's more than just showcasing my work, it reflects everything we're trying to rebuild." "Exactly. It's a story of two intertwining journeys," Jamie responded enthusiastically, his voice buoyant with newfound energy. Motivated by the synergy of creativity, they began brainstorming, each suggestion feeding the other's enthusiasm. Emily felt a burst of exhilaration. This was the collaboration she had longed for. But beneath that excitement lingered a whisper of doubt. Would her final pieces be good enough? Would the gallery appreciate her vision? The next few hours melted into a flurry of ideas, sketches, and discussions, as both faced their vulnerabilities head-on. Emily felt her indomitable spirit igniting, each brushstroke in her mind bringing clarity to what she was capable of achieving. But as the day waned and they wrapped up their brainstorming, a shadow flitted across her thoughts. While planning their paths forward, she couldn't shake off the fear that Jamie's past might resurface, haunting the beautiful potential they were inadvertently cultivating. Just as the cafe's lights dimmed, her phone buzzed again, and the screen lit up with an unanticipated caller, her former mentor, a voice from her past that might either propel her forward or unravel the carefully laid plans she made with Jamie. As she tapped the screen to accept the call, her heart raced with the anticipation of what this interaction might ignite. What if this call carried the weight of her future, ready to shift the balance of everything she had just begun to reclaim? Emily pressed the phone to her ear, her heart pounding. Hello. The familiar voice of her former mentor, Theo, came through the line, rich with warmth yet carrying an underlying sense of urgency that immediately set her on edge. Emily. I'm so glad I caught you. How have you been? I've heard about your upcoming exhibit. Exciting times. She hesitated, recalling the mixed emotions she had felt during their last interaction, an abrupt end to a mentorship she once cherished. I'm managing, she replied, cautiously optimistic. Theo's tone shifted slightly, a hint of seriousness threading through his casual demeanor. I'm here to help, you know. I have some contacts in the art world who are eager to see fresh ideas. What is your vision for the exhibit? His inquiry stirred something deep within her, her grounded aspirations flickering like an uncertain flame. I want to illustrate themes of growth and restoration. It's personal, but speaks to the larger journey of healing. The words blurted out before she could cage them back inside. Theo was quiet for a moment, and she could hear the shift in his breath as he acknowledged her ambitions. That sounds promising. Authenticity always resonates. But let me ask you, how are you planning to stand out in a saturated market? The sting of his probing question ricocheted in her mind. What if she wasn't good enough? What if it wasn't bold enough? Well, listen, he interjected, his voice steadying. If you want to break barriers, you need to tell your story, not just through your art but in how you present it. You'll need to create an emotional connection with your audience. Dig deep. She swallowed hard. I guess I haven't thought about that yet, at least not concretely. I've been focused on technique and planning. Technique is vital, but without emotion, it's lifeless. The emphasis in his voice tightened her stomach. After a brief silence, she said, I'm also trying to navigate the emotional ties with other relationships. Jamie is very important to me, she confessed. Each word echoed her insecurities, reflecting both her evolving ambitions and the fragility of her personal life. I understand relationships can be complex, Emily. But don't let them overshadow your art. You have a chance to reclaim your narrative not just in your pieces, but in how you allow others to share that space with you. A flicker of defiance ignited within her. You're right. I need to be unapologetic about my vision. It's time to take control of who I am and what I want to say. Theo chuckled lightly. Now that's the spirit. Remember, fear can be a catalyst. Use it. Channel it into your work rather than letting it stifle you. The world deserves to see your light. As she hung up, Emily's resolve solidified. Each brushstroke on her sketchbook would no longer be an isolated expression, it would weave together her story and her renewed sense of identity. Growing from trajectory to incandescent transformation. She turned back to the sketches, adrenaline coursing through her veins. What if she poured more than just images onto the canvas? What if she infused it with elements that stirred within the fears, the love, the triumphs? The softness in the cafe around her faded as her focus sharpened. But just as excitement began to envelop her, a creeping sensation of doubt emerged anew. Would Jamie connect with this deeper narrative? Could he understand what she truly wanted to convey? With a heavy heart, she tucked her sketchbook away for the night. The fear of their disparities loomed large, threatening to swell into a chasm between their aspirations. As she stepped outside, wrapped tight against the evening chill, she caught a glimpse of herself in a shop window. There was determination etched into her features. Yet, her heart tugged back to the uncertainty lying in wait with Jamie's response. Would she have the courage to fully open up to him, sharing not just her art but her fears? Or would the walls of her past hold her back from forming the bond they ached for? The city buzzed around her, alive with possibilities that began to blur together. Yet, the stark contrast of her next steps weighed heavily on her. She had decisions to make, cycles to break. And then her phone buzzed again, a notification lighting up the darkened street, the gallery's countdown clock ticking down, and another message from Jamie waiting to be read, ready to test everything she was preparing to unleash. Emily stood at the crossroads, heart racing as she absorbed the vibrant energy of the city pulsing around her. Each step felt laden with both anticipation and apprehension as she faced the monumental decisions ahead. Embracing the uncertainty had become her mantra, and today it was time to manifest that resolve entirely. Moments before, she had experienced a rush of empowerment through her conversation with Theo. Fueled by his words, she vowed to infuse her artwork with the essence of her turbulent journey: transformation, resilience, and the fragility of relationships. As she approached the gallery, her mind raced with innovative concepts, each echoing with the promise of bold vulnerability. But before she could fully plunge into the expansive artistic realm awaiting her, her phone buzzed again, another ping pulling at her attention, this time a message from Jamie. The mixed feelings pooled inside her, each requiring her careful consideration. Would this be the communication that would either bolster their reconciliation or disrupt the delicate balance of their evolving relationship? She took a deep breath, feeling the cool air fill her lungs, grounding her. Without hesitation, she opened the message. Jamie's words filled the screen, candid yet thoughtful. "I've been reflecting on everything. I think we need to prioritize honesty in our relationship, especially if we're to move closer. I want to support your exhibit, but I also need to work on myself, not just for you but for me." In that moment, clarity broke through the confusion, a realization that both she and Jamie were navigating their individual paths while striving to build something worthwhile together. His commitment to self-improvement inspired her, showing their parallel journeys could run alongside each other without overshadowing their ambitions. As she read his message, warmth spread through her. A fresh sense of confidence flooded her veins. It was affirmation, not just for herself but for the budding relationship they were cultivating. Determined, she opted to respond immediately. "I agree completely. I am grateful for your support, and I am committed to prioritizing transparency. I want us both to thrive. Can we meet later to discuss how we can motivate each other?" She hit send, her heart pounding as she pondered the possible responses. But whatever the outcome, she knew with solid resolve that she wouldn't allow her past failures to dictate her present. Emily was committed to embracing this defining moment. As fate would have it, she arrived at the gallery, a sanctuary resonating with possibilities just waiting to be brought to life. The walls stood tall, ready to hold her creations. She approached her workstation, the sketchbook, and art supplies laid out, waiting for the magic to unfold. For hours, she lost herself in the vibrant colors, each stroke of the brush lifting her spirit, allowing her to blend the raw edges of her story with the emotional depth she had unearthed. Every sketch narrated a chapter of her growth, from chaos to beauty, from isolation to connection. She recalled Jamie's words, and with newfound determination, she decided to create a piece symbolizing both their journeys. The intertwining themes would reflect their struggle for authenticity, echoing commitment to heal, to grow, and to rise together. This wasn't merely painting. It was an unbroken promise to herself and her dream, a visual representation of the life she was determined to create. As she worked into the night, she felt each brushstroke resonate, wrapping her in a cocoon of solid confidence she had fought so hard to achieve. The liberating act of creating something that combined her personal and professional aspirations flooded her with authentic fulfillment, deepening her sense of accomplishment. Eventually, she stepped back to survey her work. The canvas shimmered with hope. The butterflies she had once been afraid to embrace danced across the surface, drawn in vivid colors, symbolizing both her and Jamie's transformation. She smiled, knowing the contours of what she was capable of were broadening and solidifying. She was, after all, the artist of her own narrative. When she finally finished, Emily snapped a picture of her creation, sending it to Jamie along with a message: "I'm taking bold steps. This is our journey, our growth. I'd love for you to be part of this challenge. Let's plan to connect later." With a readiness that felt exhilarating, Emily took a moment to breathe in her success. There would be more conversations ahead, more challenges to face, but she felt ready to embrace them all. The gallery had not just become a platform for her artwork but a vibrant realm where she could redefine her identity and reimagine her future. Her heart was full, her confidence solid, and Jamie's message echoed in the back of her mind. It was a sign that they would build the connection she now fully embraced, grounded in trust and mutual support. The journey toward creative achievement had begun, actively pursuing her dreams while acknowledging the bonds that mattered most. As she stepped out of the gallery later that evening and into the embrace of the night, the city buzzed around her like a tapestry weaving new possibilities. Emily had taken not only a giant leap toward personal and professional achievement but also forged a clear path toward honest connection with Jamie. She felt the thrill of change ripple through her. From this moment, she would continue to paint her own future, and she knew with certainty she would soar, conquering even the shadows lurking in her past. So, it is time for you to take the leap into your own journey of growth. Don't miss out on more stories that will inspire you to overcome life's challenges. You need to subscribe now so you won't miss a single exclusive emotional story. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep these transformative narratives alive. Comment your thoughts and theories about Emily's journey and her growth, as only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of engaging with these moments. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who also need that inspiration to conquer their own lives. Don't wait even one more second.